Welcome to Plants vs. Meat, the podcast where we put the health, environment, and animal rights debates on the chopping block. Real Men Eat Plants is proud to provide time to dig deep into the meaty issues that divide us, as we pit a carnivore against a plant-baser in a no-holds-barred battle for the truth. Get ready to hear some passionate arguments, mind-blowing facts, and maybe even a few jokes, as we explore ways to save the planet, improve our health, and save some animals along the way. So, whether you're a plant-based warrior or a meat-eating machine, tune in to Plants vs. Meat and find out which side you're really on.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Plants vs. Meat. I'm your host, Bryan, and today we have a very interesting guest. One that I've been very excited to get on the show here and talk about because, this is so interesting. I'd like to welcome to the podcast here, Kenner Key. Hi, Kenner.
Hey, Bryan. How are you today, sir?
Doing really, really well. So tell us why I am so excited to speak with you on the Plants vs. Meat podcast today.
Well, I run a barbecue business, and as you could imagine, we mostly do meat. There's not very much plants.
That's right.
I will have to.
That's right.
Yeah, so I was kind of interested when you asked me, and I was very intrigued. So I've been looking forward to this as well.
Well, awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate you taking a few minutes out to speak with us tonight. And we're going to try and unpack sort of three main topics, our health, the environment, and then, of course, the animals briefly on that front. So, but just help set the stage for people. They have probably listened to a few episodes or seen some of our other podcasts and know enough about me. I'm one of the founders of Real Men Eat Plants. So what can you tell us about your journey and how you developed your passion for cooking and barbecuing, and give us a little backstory?
Yeah, great. Well, I started cooking with my grandmother in the kitchen when I was, very, very small. My mother bought my father a smoker for Father's Day one year, and we started smoking meat. That was probably 35 years ago. So kind of just grew up in the kitchen with my grandparents and my father cooking meat. 21 years ago, we lived in Charles, South Carolina. Friends of mine had entered us into a barbecue competition just for more of a joke than anything, and we entered the contest, and we ended up taking third overall against some very big teams. So it was kind of a hobby that we just kind of did on and off. And then in 2017, my brother and I kind of got real serious about smoking meat, I guess you'd say, more than a hobby, and bought a trailer and the big smokers, and we joined the KCBS circuit. We did that until COVID shut everything down, as everybody knows. Then we kind of went from there. I was working in the tech industry, but we kind of got laid off last July, actually. And I was approached about cooking some meat for some breweries that I frequent way too often. And I figured, hey, if we're going to do it for them, why not do it for everybody? And so that's kind of what we're doing now. So,
and here you are. You're officially a barbecue guy 24/7 now, pretty much, right?
We are. It's a full-time job. So
that's awesome.
I have little part-time gigs here and there to kind of help pay the bills, keep the lights on. But it's a full-time job. It's almost 7 days a week right now. So it's been good. We're only 6 months into this little adventure, and I mean it's going great. I can't be more happy than I am. So
that's awesome. And so when we first met, we talked a little bit about just some tips and advice for your business and whatnot, but you did say you've been experimenting with some of the plant-based barbecue techniques. Do you want to share any of those with us?
Yeah, so we added jackfruit to the menu. From your recommendation there at 1 million cups that we did, and then a few other people who I've come across that were vegetarian friends. We started with the real one at first, a very big, jackfruits are the biggest fruit in the world, if anybody doesn't know. They're massive. They grow on 80-foot tall trees. Actually, one of my food reps brought one in from Miami for me. And it was very interesting. I didn't expect it to be that big and that sticky. It's just it was very sticky, very big. But we smoked it whole. It wasn't very good whole. So then we tried canned jackfruit second, which we had a better luck with that one. But I didn't, the variety that we had, I could only find it at the Asian grocery stores here in Charlotte. So,
Yeah.
but Trader Joe's has a very great jackfruit product that it comes canned and brined already. And we did that 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the vegetarian community came out in droves at our farmers market last Saturday and bought me out by 8:30 in the morning. It has raved
That
about it
is
since.
awesome.
So I like it's probably going to be a
I
kind of
have
like
to tell
menu
you,
option.
yeah. I mean, I just think like for me, I guess I'll give you my tip real quick is I go on Amazon and you can buy the jackfruit in the cans by the case kind of a thing. And you can just buy a case or two and stock up on it. So that's the way I get mine. But I'm glad you found some local places too. But it's one of those things as a plant-based individual, I dread the cookouts and the birthday parties because you go and it is just not vegetarian friendly 9 times out of 10. So you got to eat
And that,
beforehand and feel
yep.
like a jerk and say no thank you, no thank you, and all that stuff. So I strongly encourage you that you'll continue to keep selling out if you keep that jackfruit on the menu, I'm hoping.
I,
So
we will. So it's kind of funny you say that because that was a lot of the vegetarians who I spoke to was like it's about the inclusion piece of it, like they don't
yeah,
like going to barbecues because of that, and I'm like, well, that makes complete
yeah,
sense. So,
yeah.
so yeah, so I'm happy we were able to get some options out there to bring into the vegetarian community. So, and the product's actually really
I
good.
think
Uh, so,
And I agree. When you find an amazing jackfruit, or like with your secret techniques for cooking and barbecuing it, I would just love to try some of your jackfruit sometime soon here. What
that's
is like I guess the thing for me that people like what do you miss about like I used to be a meat eater, right? So what is it that I miss? I miss the smoked flavors. I miss the crispiness and caramelization that you get to a degree that's hard to find in the vegetables at times. And that's where you find a really good cauliflower steak or a jackfruit or something like that, and it brings back those flavors that you have forgotten about on that front. But let's dive into the health side of it, though. Like, I'm
okay.
just curious, like from a health perspective, that's one of the biggest reasons that I became plant based is that I've lost a ton of weight and cholesterol and everything else by giving up the meat and stuff. What is your opinion on the meat side of it from a health perspective? Like it's not you would recognize it's not good to eat barbecue meat every single day, right?
No, no, it's not. It's not. It's not good. Uh, I try to. In my world, I mean, let's be honest, pork is fat. It's a lot of flavor,
Yep.
so in the world of cooking, so I do trim a lot of that stuff off of my meat. I think that's one
Hmm.
thing that definitely makes us different than a lot of other people. People just cook it all together, and there's enough fat in pork to begin with that you can remove some of it and it's still going to be fine.
Yeah.
Um, I think kind of the piggyback off that question, would be more of trying to balance it out, I guess, I love brisket to death, but brisket's also fatty,
Hmm.
so we try to use a different
Yeah.
meat, like we use chuck roast, so we can kind of get away from some of those fats.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people when their rubs they use, the rubs have like 15 ingredients in the rubs. I keep mine to like simple five or six. It's usually
Yeah.
salt, pepper, garlic, honey powder, and paprika. So trying to take out some of the bad stuff in the barbecue world because it has got a
Yeah.
bad rep for it over the years. So I've
Hmm.
really tried to do that and kind of, since we're talking about plants versus meat here, is meat costs a lot of money these days. And if people are
Amen.
covering it, and if people are covering it up with so much rub or barbecue sauce, and it kind of defeats the purpose of eating the meat to begin with in my world.
Yeah.
I really want to try to make sure the meat is what shines through. And then we also like to say we really work a lot with a lot of local farmers here in the area.
Hmm.
We're trying to keep it as local as we can as well.
And it's like it's one of my favorite jokes and stuff to put out to the people that do talk to me about my dietary choices is you have to take the dead animals and flavor them with the vegetables to make them taste better. So anyway, I digress on that front. But what I guess like what would be like I love barbecue and like I could eat barbecue probably every day. I just don't like it's such a rare thing in my diet now because there aren't a lot of options
Yeah.
other than the jackfruit. Like what other do you see yourself like obviously continuing to experiment with the plant-based foods and bringing that to more of the menu? Like do you see it
We,
potentially taking over up to 50% of your menu?
well, I don't want to say 50%. I would say a solid 25 or 30 though, right now in the community.
Yeah.
And I think as long as we can continue to grow and find the product that the vegetarian community would like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm happy to cook it as long as it moves and sells. I can't get, that's kind of one of those
Yeah.
weird. I'm learning as we're going here what sells and what's not selling. So, but I do believe Kristen and Joe over here at the Cabarrus
Yeah.
Center, they've been a huge fan of us. They're really pushing hard on the vegan barbecue stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I would like to try some more. We bought some cauliflower that we're going to try this weekend at a competition actually down in Greenwood, South Carolina that we're doing. So we're gonna go down there. We're gonna try smoked cauliflower this weekend just to kind of
Cool.
have a different option out there. So and kind of see what that goes. So although South Carolina's probably not quite as open as we are here in Charlotte to the vegetarian world, but uh, we'll, we'll definitely gonna we're gonna bring another
Yeah.
option down there and see what
Well,
happens. So
I want to hear how it goes for sure. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking mushrooms for sure, asparagus, maybe even eggplant. Like you gotta probably get the water content out of it a little bit so that it can reabsorb some of the barbecue flavors and
yeah,
stuff. But like,
we did try eggplant
I think
once.
there's a
It's
whole
just too
world
much.
to explore there.
So no,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I mean there
What
is, and it's lots of potential for it, I believe. So
Well, I just think from the health side of it, I feel like it's been scientifically proven that the meats are the ones that long-term effects of meat do cause cancer and do lead to, I don't know, slower metabolisms, all sorts of side effects of meat. So I just want to encourage you to continue growing the plant-based options on your menu. I know I'll be the first one in line to get it before you sell out for sure. What about like
just
the
let me know.
environmental impacts? um, on the environmental side, like, I hope most of the world feels like climate change is real now, and where I think the world set a new record on the 4th of July for the
I know.
average
Yeah.
highest temperature worldwide on the planet and stuff. And I think it's a hidden fact the way that they display the statistics about it. But animal agriculture is one of the leading drivers of climate change because the amount of money, food we have to raise to transport to the animals, transporting the animals, keeping the animals frozen, all those kinds of things. What is your thoughts on the environmental impacts of barbecue
I
meats and
think,
things like that?
you know, trying to do it, I kind of like why I want to partner with the local farms and whatnot, 'cause I think it's more sustainable as far as that goes.
Hmm. Yeah.
We're not going out here to a pig farm, run by Smithfield, who have 5,000, head of pigs
Yeah.
on it, So I will
Hmm.
agree with you on that one. I don't think that product is sustainable at all with the environment we have right now in this day and age.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah.
the smaller farmers who aren't ripping apart the ground and tearing down the forest and the trees and letting the animals do what animals have already done for hundreds and thousands of years before we did anything.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's very big into us, so I don't ever think Smokey Q will be as big as like Sonny's Barbecue or any of those other big companies out
Yeah.
there. And personally, I really don't want to get that big, to be honest with you. So,
Right.
I want to be
Right.
able to kind of continue what we're doing with our small localness and bring that to the table. So, but I would admit, I mean, yeah, those big farms out there, they're not great for the environment. I mean, if you
Yeah.
pass a chicken coop here in North Carolina, you smell that thing, that can't be good. It's like,
Yeah. And
So if
that's
we,
one of the things that when I saw your presentation, I was really impressed with the way that you go about trying to find the local farmers and source things and stuff like that.
yeah,
So I commend you on the environmental aspects, and I hope I hope you continue to find ways to push that sustainability side of it for sure.
yeah, no, for sure. It's a big part of us, so
Now,
we will definitely don't want to lose that.
I go plant-based for the health reasons, and then secondarily to try and save our planet here. because we haven't found us a backup planet to live on.
No.
But there is the large population of us plant-based people that care immensely about the animals. Um, and the difference between, dogs and cats versus cows and pigs and stuff is not much different from an intelligence and everything else perspective. What do you think about the ethical side of that?
Well, I grew up in Texas on a dairy farm,
Yep.
and to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you, cows aren't very smart. It's like-
Yeah.
but I mean, animals are animals. I don't. In my world,
I mean,
it's
like
like
you grew up on the farm. Did you get attached to any of the animals? I mean, maybe intelligence of cows is lower than some of the other ones,
yeah, it was a
but
dairy
like, did you
farm,
get
so
attached?
not really.
They didn't
No,
let you get attached. Okay.
no, it's just kind of how we were raised. So,
Yeah.
uh, they would always say never name the animal that way. Ever get attached to it. I hate to
Yeah.
say that a lot,
Yeah.
but it's kind of one of those rules of thumbs. I mean, on the other spectrum of that, I mean, some of these animals, and look at the larger section, I mean, we raise crops to go ahead and take crops to from the corn they make ethanol to corn flakes to
Yeah.
plastics now. I mean, the same kind of thing, in
Hmm.
my opinion, the same things kind of go with, the cows, the chickens, the pigs. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
crop. I mean, so it kind of definitely worse on the environment than a cornfield. Don't get me wrong. Or depends, of course, how much fertilizer they dump on that cornfield these days as well. But so that's kind
Yeah.
of how I've always looked at it as growing up in Texas. On the dairy farm with the family. So,
Hmm.
but you know, what was 30 years ago isn't what it is today. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot different than that. So I mean, I very much do care about cows because I love steak.
Hmm. Yeah.
But as long as we can do it sustainably and work with the environment, and I don't know, I keep going back to the local farmers. I mean, these guys work sun up to sundown. They're here to. The environment's just as important as them because that's how they live. That's how they raise their families. That's how they make their monies, and you know,
Yeah.
so
I think, and I really appreciate you coming on the show. I mean, there's going to be people that are watching this that, I expect this show to be more controversial than some of our other podcasts that we have. And so there's going to be comments on both sides of this from the meat eaters that are saying, just go eat a steak, Brian. And then there's going to be ones that are pretty harsh on you, Kenner, saying like,
that's
no,
okay.
we can't support you because you are doing the meats along with the pulled
What do you do?
jackfruit on that front. So how do you address that balance? Like, I definitely think the people that I've encountered that do eat meat, I try to encourage them, like, you shouldn't be eating meat every single day. Like, try to limit the amount of meat that you're eating on that front. There's plenty of places you can get your protein and stuff from, but I guess, how do you help me and the world at large find this middle ground and balance for us?
Well, I mean, right there, I think that's the word balance. So, I mean, we are very
Right,
big like in our house, it's a very balanced diet. It's like it's usually
right,
70% vegetables, 30% meat. It's like, so,
yeah,
uh, take that open mindedness from somebody who cooks barbecue on a daily basis and try to be a little
right,
more willing to learn a little bit more of what vegetables can help do. I mean, I love
mm-hmm,
vegetables. We like I say,
yeah,
some people we're just not going to get through though, Brian. They're just not gonna.
yeah,
They're not gonna understand it. So, but as long as like me coming on this show and you and asking me to come, that we're willing to talk about it, and have these
yeah,
conversations with people. I mean that's the biggest part right there. As
yep,
long as we can come to an agreement that hey, Brian loves smoked jackfruit and not smoked pulled pork. Hey, that's okay.
yep,
It's like
yep,
so
mm-hmm,
uh, to try to get back into the world where we don't have to agree, but we do have to respect each other and kind of go from there. I think that's
yeah,
like you said, we've got to balance it out. So like I understand not everybody's
and
gonna love
it
this. That's okay.
that's right. And like, I don't know if we've touched on this or not, but like, you do the barbecue beans and some of the other vegetable-y sides too, right? It goes
We
along
do.
with
So
it.
we have some beans as well that we have on the recipe. Of course, coleslaw, the whole nine yards. So, uh, we'll add that as we grow down the way. So right now it's mostly just the barbecue sauces that we do, our rubs, and then of course the meats and the
Yeah,
jackfruits.
well, that is awesome. I appreciate your efforts on the sustainability front. I appreciate your willingness to come on the show and have a nice chat and talk. Do you have any questions for me for the plant side of it to help our
No, I mean
audience or whoever's
I've done
listening?
a lot of we've done a lot of crazy diets over the year. I guess you want to say, my wife and I were paleo for
Hmm.
about 3 straight years. Love that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
Gone some of the other versions, where it's all vegetables for a while. So, no, I just think it's just great to be able to have these conversations. It's like,
Yeah.
so many people just think, us pit masters are just, all we eat is meat all day long, every day. It's like, no, 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 no. It's like, we love
I'm sure.
vegetables
I'm
just as
sure
much.
there's the extremists on both sides of that fence for sure.
Yep.
But I really do appreciate you being the first barbecue person on the Plant versus Meat
Woo!
podcast here to talk to us. And I hope we can encourage some more meat eaters to come on the show here and have a nice, healthy conversation about trying to find the balance here and help us change the world in as many ways as we can. So thank you, Connor, for being here. I appreciate your time on the show today.
You're welcome, Brian. Appreciate you guys. Thank y'all.
That's all the time we've got for this episode of Plants vs. Meat. Appreciate y'all listening in and check out Kenner's Barbecue. We'll put the links in the show notes for you so you can check that out and learn more about that and some of his offerings. And hopefully you'll get to see him in North Carolina or South Carolina and try some of that jackfruit barbecue. Thanks
Come on
again,
by.
Kenner.
Bye, guys.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Plants vs. Meat. We hope you enjoyed the debate and gained some new insights into the complex world of food choices. Remember, whether you choose plants or meat, the most important thing is to make informed decisions that work for you and the planet. Don't forget to tune in next time for more food for thought and more heated debates. Thanks for listening to Plants vs. Meat, brought to you by Real Men Eat Plants. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us a review and let us know what you think about this episode. Don't forget to tag us at Plant vs. Meat Podcast when you share this episode in your preferred social media. Do you think you have a good argument about eating meat? Be our guest and email us at pvm@realmeneatplants.com. We love hearing from our listeners. Thank you to our guests and to you, our listeners, for your support, and see you next time.